Sending data. Halo Studios, YouTube. Now it should be there.
All right, let me check. Hey,
There we go.
we're here.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. We're a little bit late. Tremaine is, he's out having fun. He said, Friday nights, I'm busy on Friday nights. I'm not going to sit around and talk about movies. And he just kind of left us. It was really sad. And I'm Tom Kelly. And this is Uncanny. And we're here to talk about all things movies tonight. So, Uncanny, I got a little news today. You will notice that under my name, it now says published author. And that's a change. Yeah, that's a change for me. Let's see. I'm going to share this screen here. And it will pop up. There it is. There it is. Oscar and the Hurricane is now a published work. It's on. You can download it on Kindle. The softback and hardback editions will be out in the next week or so. But it's a children's story. It's about a story that I started 20 years ago when the house and and Hilma's going to come in now and tell us what's wrong. Oh, thanks. Okay, in just a second.
Hey, good to see you there, Tremaine. I hope you're off
All
enjoying
right.
life.
All right, can you hear me now?
Actually, a lot better, yes.
All right. So I'll lean in just a little bit because now the microphone's over there instead of over there. So all is good, and I like I said, I'm excited that I am now officially published as of today. So go out there, especially if you have a kid and you guys have been through something rough. Ours started 20 years ago, and we evacuated in the midst of Hurricane. Well, first it was Hurricane Rita, and then it was Hurricane Ike, and Ike did severe damage to our house, and so the story is told through the eyes of Oscar, the dog, he had one blue eye and one brown eye, best dog in history, and he was wonderful. So
Wow, so this like sent like autobiographical then.
based on a true story, yeah, and it's talking about how, and this is something we forget sometimes, is that kids, from 7 to 14, let's say, are seeing the same things adults are, but they're not processing it like adults, right? And so it's confusing. They don't understand, what's totally going on. They know everything's broken, and they know there's a bunch of people walking around the house and on the roof and doing all this crap, and they don't always know how to process that. So this is talking about that it's okay. It's okay if you don't quite understand it. It's okay if it's a little bit scary. Stick close to your family, and you'll make it through.
Well, and that's an interesting perspective too, like through the eyes of a dog, because in a similar way, right, is like sometimes you'll see like the aftermath of big storms or something, and kids are like playing around, like being kids, right? You're like, oh, the
Right.
adults are worried about a month from now, a week from now, 5 years from now, and the kids are like, and the same thing with the dogs, right? It's like
Yep.
dogs are like, okay, well, this is what's going on now.
Yeah, and and it can be, those kinds of things can be really hard on a kid. So that's what we're dealing with and handling in the book, and I'm excited about it. I've got other things cooking. We're going to have my novel out later this summer, and that is going through right now. I'm not rewriting it. What would be the right phrase?
like doing edits?
Yeah, going through. There were some things that one of my central characters. I have him doing all sorts of stuff to the middle of the book, and then I like hardly mention him at all till the last chapter.
Mm.
And little things like that. That it's kind of like, okay, I don't know why. It's just when you're writing something that big, and I'm at over 80,000 words, almost 90,000 words now. It's just easy to kind of get focused in on other things. So it can be a little bit tough.
Well, yeah. I mean, and that's I will say this, at least you recognize that because that is speaking of movie night, that is what happens in a lot of movie plots and like especially like TV shows. I don't know if you've watched Stranger Things, but my wife and I finished that and
Mm-hmm.
we basically for 3 seasons we've been like there's nothing for this character to do except for show up for like one scene every 3 episodes. Like
Right.
stop having them in the movie in the show if like they're not going to do
Kill,
anything,
kill
right?
him off then.
Yes.
And that was a consideration too. Is what do I do with this guy? And but he's one of my favorite characters. I don't want anything to happen to him. But um, so what I was told from a couple of different sources. I also do you know who Brandon Sanderson is?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Famous.
okay. So I watch his stuff, and he was saying when you get to about 80, 90,000 words, you should stop and and relook at are you really doing what you thought you were going to do, and but like take a break, don't do anything, and just take a few minutes to uh, or take a few weeks to walk away, and then when you walk back and you read it again, you're going to have a different feeling.
It's true. It's you can kind of get into that tunnel vision a little bit when you're like writing. I used to do that when I was in school and I'd write really long like research papers. Is like you get into the
Mm-hmm.
mode of it and then I always same thing. I try and sleep on it and reread it and see like is this actually flowing? Like does this actually make sense or is this just tunnel vision writing in the middle of the night version of writing it? So
Right. Yeah. Hey, we had some sad news today.
yeah.
Very sad from my perspective because he's one of my all-time. Chuck Norris passed away today at the age of 86. Um, man, I remember the first time. Maybe you've never done this. Gone to a movie by yourself.
Yeah, I have, yep. Not that
Okay.
often, but
So,
yeah.
okay. So the first time I ever did that, I was in college. Couldn't find anybody who wanted to go with me. It was summertime, so there weren't that many people around, and I went to see, ironically enough, Lone Wolf McQuade by myself. First time I'd ever gone to a movie. It was a Lone Wolf McQuade, a movie about a guy who's alone being watched by a guy. I thought it was ironic and funny.
That's
Um,
pretty cool.
yeah, and what a great movie, and just what a great life. I mean, this guy, 6 time. Wait, he won the All Karate Championship like 6 times in a row. This was not a guy who, took lessons on the side, Keanu Reeves or somebody to be better in the movies. This is a guy who came in to movies and already doing some pretty great stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And so,
Well,
he was very
and I was
impressive.
kinda
Uh, starred in, gosh, how many movies was he in? It just down here some.
yeah, he was, well, I
Go
did,
ahead. Are you
uh
there? No.
yeah,
No.
can you hear me? Yeah,
Yeah.
I did talk a little bit on the side to Tremaine earlier in the day, and, one of the things I just briefly because you always want to talk to your buddies whenever like a big, a celebrity passes. And Chuck Norris is
Yeah.
not just he wasn't just an actor like you were saying, right? Is he was a martial artist, and like he
Mm-hmm.
really knew how to fight. And
Mm-hmm.
and he is really kind of he's like it's kind of like a changing of the age, right? It's like Chuck Norris is one of those actors that was, I mean, in a way, kind of like almost Sylvester Stallone and like a lot of those guys from like the 80s where like they knew how to fight. They were like truth, justice, and the American way, right? Like they were like there was a
Yeah.
whole zeitgeist around them. I mean, Walker Texas Rangers is probably one of the most famous things besides his movies, right? And it's this,
Sure.
you don't see it a lot. It's like the heroic fighter who's like not going out to like cynically, aggrandize themselves. It's about like he's going out there and he's I don't know, it's like a certain like purity. It's almost like a from a more naive age, I guess, kind of feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. I just there was just something real about him. I thought Walker Texas Rangers, one of those shows that you can watch it 10 times in a row, like just leave it on during the day if they're doing a Walker marathon, and then not watch it for 6 months, and then it's kind of like a good friend. Some of your good friends you don't talk to every day. You talk to them every few months, and you just kind of like pick up the conversation, and you talk for 2 hours, and you don't talk again for a few months, and then you talk. That's kind of the way I felt about Chuck Norris. Was that I didn't have to catch
Yep.
every single thing he did every single minute, but I could catch up to him anytime, and it was like having an old friend. I mean, he was just really. I think he was a good guy, and I didn't know him personally. I can't speak to him, but everything I've always heard was that he was a good guy, and um, he just did his thing, and he never made apologies for who he was. He never tried to be more than what he was either.
Yeah.
There's no Chuck Norris space cowboy movie out there. Yeah, he didn't try. He never put his self out to be. Oh, I'm going to be the next rom com star. It's going to be Chuck Norris and Billy Crystal starring. No. He did his thing. He did it well, and you know, salute to
He
you, sir. We appreciate you.
he seemed like he was a very centered guy. Like I think he knew who he was and he had a lot of confidence in that. And everything like you said, everything I've ever heard or seen from him is like he didn't have like giant scandals. Like he seemed like he
Mhm.
was just a legit good guy. And
Yeah,
um I would be remiss if I didn't mention there was this phenomena that was pretty big in the late 90s, early 2000s called the Chuck Norris jokes, right? Where it's like
yeah.
Chuck
Oh yeah.
Chuck Norris visited the U.S. Virgin Islands. Now they're just known as the islands,
The
right?
islands, right?
Or
Yeah.
like Chuck Norris doesn't read books; he just stares at them angrily until they tell him what he needs to know, right? Like,
Right.
and the funny thing is like, so I read this story once about how when he first heard about that, when that became big enough on the internet, he didn't know how to feel about it. I think that he was kind of like, because I imagine it's kind of scary as a celebrity when the public kind of turns you into a meme and you don't know exactly
Yeah.
what the
Yeah.
purpose is. But he got it pretty quick, and I think he ended up loving it. And so he used to make those Chuck Norris jokes on occasion about himself too, which is kind of endearing.
Yeah. There was something that was very homey about him. I mean that in a really good way. Like he could have been your next door neighbor.
Oh yeah.
And whoever he was to their next door neighbor, that I'm sure they have nothing but yeah, he was just Chuck.
He'd be like the next door neighbor that like invited you over to barbecue like like on a Sunday, right? Or like he
Yeah.
would, oh, your fence got blown down in the storm. Let me help you. I'll run to the Home Depot with you and get what you need.
Right. Yeah. He's just, I don't know. I wish more people in Hollywood were more like him.
Yes.
It's
It
just
truly is a loss, I think, for I mean everybody's got to go at some point. He lived a good long life, but he
right.
really is a loss for all of us now that, I mean, he's an American icon, right? Like Chuck Norris, the American flag, like cowboy hat, like that's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
R.I.P. Chuck Norris.
Yeah. We'll miss him, and he was um, he was an institution for sure, and I mean that again in a really good way. It's he hasn't done
Better
anything for a
institutions than
while,
a lot of current institutions, that's for sure.
right? He hadn't done anything for a while. He was just starting a movie last week or something like that, but still, you know, he he was uh, he was great. Good to have
Well, and
around.
I think there's and I think there's respect in that too, right? Is like I think it's like about knowing him, right? It's like you brought up, like he didn't try and break through to a whole new genre to revamp himself and like kind
Yeah.
of demean his legacy. It's like there's some actors where you see them like I don't know. I kind of feel this way a little bit with and nothing against him. Like I think he's a cool guy and I love the movies, a lot of the movies he's in. But like when you see like the latest Indiana Jones and it's like Harrison
Yes,
Ford
I
just
knew you
brought
were going to
back the
say that. I
uh,
knew you were going to say that. That's why I was starting to point. Yeah, and I hate to say it too, but Bobby De Niro,
yes.
take your bow and walk off stage now, dude. You have nothing else to prove, and I don't really want to see you at 85 doing a movie. It
Yeah.
just, I'm sorry. It just, and please don't do the we're going to make you try to look younger with CGI and all that. No, no, no.
Yeah, it's about I think it's about aging with grace, and I think Chuck Norris, I think he was confident enough in
There,
who he was.
yeah, that's a great way to say it. It really is uncanny because he did. He aged well, and then he stepped off stage. You didn't see Chuck Norris at 82 out there doing high kicks and I'm gonna get you, sucker. Stuff. Okay, look, Clint Eastwood can pull it off, but he's about the only one who he's what 95 now. I would love to see Clint Eastwood in a movie right now. I bet you he'd be great.
Well, and
But
Clint Eastwood's a little different too, right? Because
yeah,
like he's like Dirty Harry. He's like like go like Blondie in the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. He's always kind of playing this like dark kind of anti-hero, and so
right.
like he plays the grouchy old man who you like kind of hate him, but kind of love to hate him kind of
Yeah,
guy. And that's
yeah,
his role, but that's not Chuck Norris, and I'm glad that Chuck Norris realized that.
yeah. And he, I don't know. Can't say enough positive things about him. We're missing. Um, they got this great timeline of awards and honors that he received over on the Wikipedia page that I had up earlier. So that's worth going to look at sometime. Um, let's see, he did in 2020 two editions of a book honoring Norris were published. One was titled Martial Arts Masters and Pioneers Biography, Chuck Norris, and the other was Giving Back for a Lifetime. And yeah, yeah, uh, of course, we all here in Texas like to think he actually lived in Texas. I don't think he ever actually did, but he was
Yeah.
named an honorary Texan a while back.
I was gonna say
Yeah,
he's got to be an honorary Texan, right?
yeah,
Like, and even if he's not a literal Texan, he's a Texan in everyone's heart.
yeah. And so Yeah. Anyway, he outspoken on his politics, and I know some people listening and watching don't like him because of that. I would say, look past that. Look past that because he did not. Uh, he did not do it in a cruel way or anything like that. He expressed what he believed.
Yep.
This is just coming in. Actually, just popped up for me. March 2026, Norris was hospitalized in Hawaii. I didn't know he was in Hawaii after experiencing a medical emergency. They have not yet defined that today, and died at the age of 86. His family announced. So he actually died yesterday. His family held back the news for a day, which is fine. That's their business.
Respectable.
He does have a ranch in Texas, in Navasota, Texas.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, and a bottled water production facility on that ranch. I didn't know that either.
So he is a Texan.
Yeah. And somebody was asking me earlier about Kickstart Kids. I think that was one of our questions. He helped make all that happen as well.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this, and in this age where we live in, like where a lot of Hollywood celebrities go on to X and make asses of themselves, he was not that kind of guy, which I appreciate.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Good guy.
Good guy.
We were going to look forward a little bit since Tremaine's not here to keep the conversation flowing. We were going to talk about not what's been, but what's coming. And there's three movies that we've identified that we think look kind of interesting. Since you just saw the trailer for it, let's talk about this, and I'll pull it back up here so everybody knows what we're talking about. Sorry, guys, I'll get better at this when I don't need to be anymore. Okay, so coming out, what is it, later this year? I think it's later this year. I know they're just getting close to wrapping up filming. We've got Jennifer Lawrence, Leo DiCaprio, directed by Martin Scorsese in a movie called Last Night. What's it called?
What Happens at Night.
What Happens at Night. Yeah. Tell us what you learned about this.
So I didn't do too much research. I just watched the trailer, but it looks pretty interesting. It's kind of it looks kind of like it's got like a horror kind of mystery, ancient man or like old mansion kind of vibe to it. But it is Scorsese, and I kind of got, how Scorsese will have like movies about really serious topics, but he'll have like a lot of dark humor wrapped into it. It looks like that's what it's going to be, something like a dark comedy / horror kind of movie. So it looks pretty interesting.
Jennifer Lawrence and
DiCaprio.
Jennifer Lawrence and Leo. That's kind of it's not a combination I would have necessarily put together.
No. Although,
so it'd be interesting to see what kind of chemistry they have on screen, because it just doesn't seem like an obvious fit. But you know, sometimes those non-obvious fits are the ones that work the best.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. I feel like Leo tends to play like a more charming kind of guy, right? In a lot of his movies.
Right.
And Jennifer Lawrence seems more like, not that she can't be charming, but she seems a little bit more like the kind of type A kind of personality, right? And I'm not just like Hunger Games, but obviously but she plays like a more aggressive kind of person in a lot of her movies. So
because I think she is to some degree. She certainly talks like she is. I don't picture her replacing Kate Winslet at the dinner table on the Titanic.
No, no,
You know, I could see her. Excuse me, gonna sneeze.
bless you.
Sorry, don't have a mute button. Um, I just don't see her as a. I can see Leo doing all sorts of things. She's a little more typecast right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and like I know one of her more recent movies was the one where she plays like basically. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Almost kind of like a prostitute, right? Like the
Yeah.
movie about like the teenage guy who's going to go to college, and that's fine. Here's the thing, like I actually like Jennifer Lawrence. I think that she's a fine actress. It's just she has a certain energy and personality, and I think that kind of makes it harder for her to play very different kinds of roles sometimes, if that makes
You
sense.
just gave me a great idea for a show we need to do sometime.
Hmm.
We need to talk about all the Jennifers.
All the Jennifer
Yeah.
Aniston, Jennifer Lawrence.
Uh-huh. Jennifer Garner,
Yep.
uh, Jennifer, not Jessica, Jennifer Beals. You got a lot of Jennifers out there who, got, kind of have made very public splashes.
Oh yeah.
And
Well, Jennifer Aniston is definitely an interesting. She would. It would be interesting to have a conversation about Jennifer Aniston and kind of her career and the fact that she's getting quite a bit older, but she still like looks 20 years younger than she really is, which is pretty interesting.
she really looks good. I mean, I'm sorry, but Courtney Cox and Lisa Kudrow, they
Did not
look
age
like they did
well.
Friends. Yeah, they look like they were on Friends 20 years ago. Jennifer Aniston looks like she could still pull off the same role basically right now.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
she just doesn't. I mean, yeah, she's got some lines around her eyes and so forth, but she's a beautiful woman and aged well and doesn't. She didn't do the silly. I hate it when a beautiful actress, and I'm just going to call her out, Meg. Harry Met Sally. Meg.
Mm.
Anyway, she got the Catwoman surgery, and
Yes.
I don't know what they're thinking when they do that. Courtney Cox has gotten some kind of surgery. She looks a little bit weird. Some of these women, they go in there and they get the surgery, and it's just
Meg
like
Ryan.
Meg Ryan. Thank you.
Yes.
It's just you look at her and you think, what happened? You were America's sweetheart. We would
Well,
have grown old with you, and when you look at so many other actresses who Meryl Streep, we saw her from a young lady all the way now to, usually playing a grandma. She's we go, just let yourself be who you are. Be a great actress.
well, I mean, and that's to tie back into our first subject, right? Like that's the difference between people with dispositions like Chuck Norris versus like you said, like Meg Ryan. And
Yeah.
and it's funny is I don't know if you've seen pictures. I recently kind of got told about this. My wife was telling me is if you look at like Simon Cowell from
Mhm.
America's
Yeah.
whatever it is,
America's
got
Got Talent. Yeah.
he got some surgery, I think in the last year or a couple of years, and he like it's same thing. It's like it's not a good look. Just age naturally.
Yeah.
People expect you to look older when you get older. Don't try and fake it because we can tell.
Yeah. And it just I've never looked at somebody and said, "Wow, that surgery makes you look so much better." I've never thought that about anybody who's gotten that kind of surgery. I just, it doesn't work, guys. Sorry.
No.
At least not on the face. Maybe other areas of your body it works well, but Doesn't
You
work
can
on the face.
you can if it's a good job, you can sometimes get away with like the nose job, but like that's
Well, but I'm not talking. I'm
uh,
talking the.
or
They
taking
do
fat and
everything. Yeah,
shoving it in like
yeah,
cheeks and yeah.
yeah. All that stuff. No, no. You look ridiculous. And, then you have this ridiculous cheekbone looking thing, and I
Yeah,
don't.
it's not the move, but yeah. So yeah, but back to the Scorsese movie. It looks kind of interesting. The only
Okay.
thing is like those movie trailers where you watch it for like 2 minutes and you don't know anything about what the movie is actually supposed to be about.
Yeah, it was one
It's
of those.
yeah,
Okay.
something having to do with like they're giving up a baby and they're going to some creepy mansion or something, but
No, they're trying to adopt a baby.
oh, they're trying to adopt a baby. See, I couldn't
Yeah,
even get
yeah,
that out of the trailer.
yeah. Now they're trying to adopt and from this snowy town in Europe, I think, or whatever, but it's not what it appears to be.
Do you really
Yeah,
know your
yeah,
spouse?
that's right. In a world.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll be interested to see how it does because the last movie that Leo was in was the one that I know Tremaine. I haven't
yeah,
seen it, but Tremaine hates it, and
yeah.
everybody else. It got like
I'm
a
not a
bunch.
fan of it. I'm not a fan. So
Well,
yeah, it's a. It'll be interesting to see where it go here. Another movie coming out later this year in July, actually, and they dropped the trailer for this. Well, first, I don't know if you know this or not about the new Spider-Man Brand New Day, but the first trailer that made it out was not authorized to be out.
really?
And if you look at it, you can see it's somebody who's filming somebody looking at the trailer. Like in an editing room or something like that. It's in some kind of control room, and somebody got their camera out. I'm gonna just take a little picture here, and so that made it out. So apparently they weren't going to show the trailer until like in March Madness or something like make a big deal out of it. All that fell apart because it was already out there. So it's out there now, and it's very different. It's kind
It
of
is.
dark. I'll be
It
honest. It looks kind of dark.
it looks a lot more. Well, and it's interesting, right? Because like the first three Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland are kind of like a combination of goofy high school fused with like will they or won't they with MJ,
Right.
and then like also throw on a slice of we have to save the world from destruction, right?
Right.
This one looks a lot more interesting because it's like and you don't really think about this too often, right? It's like a lot of superhero movies, you never really see what happens after the movie, right? It's just like, oh, a happy ending. But in the last one, he had a sacrifice. Oh, spoiler alerts, anybody who hasn't seen the
Yeah.
last Super or Spider-Man. But he has to give up, like basically erase himself from everyone that he loves memory in order to save the multiverse or whatever. And it's like him struggling through that, which is in a way it's almost kind of like he died, right?
Peter Parker did.
Yes.
Peter Parker is, for all intents and purposes, dead.
And even
There's
worse,
no.
he never even existed, right? So
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody mourns him, um, and he's really struggling with that in this movie, which makes sense. I mean, they should write that movie that way. Is that he's he's not the same now.
you know, I think
Yeah.
that's I will say this is like it's been kind of in general kind of a rough couple of years for Marvel, in terms of like interesting stories and stuff. Because I'm not like big into the multiverse thing because it has like a lot of
Yeah.
absurdity in and
Yeah.
but but I will say this is a little bit more bold. I hope that turns out pretty good because this could be a very unique kind of kickoff from Marvel that I think they've been needing for a while.
Yeah, and the director of this one is the same director. I forget which. He did another Marvel movie that I liked. I have to think about it for a minute. But it's not the same director who did the first three movies.
Hmm. Destin
Yeah.
Daniel Cretton.
Yes.
He
Well,
did
tell me
Shang-Chi
some of
and
it.
the Legend of the Ten
That's
Rings.
it. Yes. So we know he knows how to do the action and the humor and all that kind of stuff. I liked that movie, Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings. Lots of good action, lots of comedy. That I thought it was a fun movie. Um, but this has got kind of a dark edge to it, as did that movie had a dark edge in it as well. That's not easy. This is where I wish we had Tremaine here right now. Uh, when you're looking at that on a script and you're thinking as a director, how do I blend what is really a dark subject? Oh, and here's the humor in it too.
Yeah.
You know, nobody knows who you are, and worse yet, nobody cares.
And you have
And
to live with that ever still seeing them, which is like a
right,
whole other thing.
and now let's laugh about it. You know, and pulling that off, that's not just words on page. That's a director who has to know the timing and get that stuff right and come back into the actors and say, this is what's going on in their head right now, and I need you to be, a certain way so that he can capture that moment. I think it's much easier if you're doing comedy or if you're doing drama. Trying to be funny while you're doing the drama, it takes the right actor. I mean, nobody did that better than Bruce Willis, right?
Yeah.
Bruce Willis, and from the time he was on Moonlighting through the Die Hard movies and all the other movies he's been in, no matter how serious he is, he can crack something. He can crack you up at any moment. Just
Yeah. I think that part of it too is and this has been kind of one of my complaints about Marvel in the past few years is I don't think that they've had the right writers and directors to implement some of their humor and like because it takes a specific type of humor to incorporate into a more serious movie, right? Like
right.
and
That's it.
if you're saying, like for example, and this is one of the things I'm famous for kind of devolving into Star Wars discussions with Tremaine. Is like in the beginning of Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Did you see it? Did you
Oh
watch
yeah.
that movie?
Oh yeah.
It's like so you have all the you know first order comes at the beginning of the movie, and they're literally like people are being exploded to death, and like they're dead. Like this is the last shred of hope, right? For like the protagonist, it's a big deal.
Right.
It's supposed
Big
to
deal.
mean danger, and then it starts with Poe Dameron saying "your mama" jokes, and it's
Right.
like that's not you. Like if you talk to anybody who like if you have any like my dad was a Marine and like I've had friends in the military and like they've been through some tough stuff and they still joke around, but it's like a darker. It's like if we don't make jokes about this, it's gonna be like super sad.
Right. The TV show MASH.
Yes, was
That
famous
they
for
talked about that a couple of times. Even in the script, they would say things like, well, that's not very funny, or how can you laugh about that right now? And Hawkeye or BJ or one of them will say, look, our choice out here is we could cry all the time or we could laugh,
it. Yep,
and I'm kind of tired of crying.
it's true, and
And
that's a famous line too, and that's true.
you know it and so dealing with humor in a dark movie, it's not something that every director can do.
No.
Okay, so we had three. What was the other one? We were talking about Spider-Man, and really suggest you see the trailer if you haven't. A lot of action. There's no doubt there's going to be a lot of action in this movie.
It
Um,
looks like he faces off against some like ninjas or something in the official trailer that they released.
um, yeah,
Something like that.
I think it very much could be. Remember at the end of Ten Rings, uh, Shang-Chi's sister, or whatever his name is, Sean, his sister is taking over the group that her father used to run. I think it's the same group.
It could be.
I think it's the same group.
Which would be interesting, like for him to reference the last Marvel movie that he directed. So
Yeah. Well,
and I think that's natural, right? Because like I think Spider-Man is I think he would like that's the kind of fighting that I think would go well, right? Like
mhm,
Thor fights against big things
right.
because he's I mean basically a Norse god, right? So Spider-Man is the most athletic of like the superheroes by far.
By
So I
far.
think that he could easily have really good choreographed fight scenes with ninjas, like basically magic ninjas, and it would look pretty good.
Yeah. Uh, I think it's certainly got potential, and I'm excited about it. I'll see it the weekend it comes out, and we'll see if it can live up to its promise.
Yeah.
Um, which is interesting because I was watching you and Tremaine last week before, and talking about what makes a movie good,
Yep.
and how you rate whether or not you like the movie. You had a couple of interesting points. You remember what you were saying?
I talk a lot, so not in particular.
um, well, the point I was going to make on all this is, to me, and I get this from Roger Ebert's book. Um, he walks into any movie and believes that a promise has been made
Mm,
before you sit down. Okay, whether it's a comedy or a raunchy comedy or a rom com or a spy thriller or whatever, you're sitting down expecting something.
yes.
Okay, does the movie keep its promise that it made to you before you got there? That's his first measure as to whether or not it's a good movie. For instance, the movie Speed. He loved the movie Speed because it set low expectations. It didn't really tell you what was going on other than something on a bus. It was completely implausible,
Oh yeah.
and yet it worked 100% for just about everybody because it never let up and it kept the speed. He literally had to keep going the speed.
Yep. At
Speed
least
2,
50 miles an hour.
right. Speed 2 was a complete flop because it promised to be like Speed.
It
It was
was
on a
not.
boat. It was on a boat, on a
Well, it's
yacht.
not like there's a whole ocean to go zooming around in,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's like, okay. I mean, if you've been on a boat before, yeah, sometimes you feel like you're going fast until you get like out there into the water, and then it's really hard to get a sense of speed because you don't have
It's the
anything.
ocean.
Yeah, there's not something going by, and
Whereas like in Speed 1, which I love that movie by the way.
yeah,
Great movie.
all the way through. Yeah,
And it's the premise itself is fascinating because I try to imagine going 50 miles an hour through LA traffic even for like a minute, and it sounds impossible, right? You're like, there's no way. But the way that they do everything, right? Like obviously it's completely not realistic to reality, but like everything they do is like exciting and it's like, well, I guess in some universe where all the everything lines up, you could throw people off of a bus while driving down the freeway in Los Angeles, right? Like,
right.
or going to the airport, right? And that was genius, and that
That
was
was genius. Yeah.
It's just it's a good and I even love the back and forth of the villain in that movie, right?
Oh
Because
yeah.
like the villain, like, and maybe it's a little bit on the nose, right? But like from the beginning, he has like this complex of like, I was the best bomb, de-armor, and like they screwed me, and like the whole time he's like obviously jealous of Keanu Reeves, and he keeps calling him an idiot, and like even to the end. And then there's this line, me and my wife, we say it to each other a lot because it's just so funny. It's like at the end, in there when they're in the underground, the subway, right? And Keanu Reeves goes, he's like, "You're so stupid, Jack." And then Keanu Reeves goes, "Yeah, well, I'm taller." And then he like ducks, and then the bad guy gets smacked away, right? And it's
Right.
just like you're
Loses
like,
his head.
it doesn't even really make sense. Like, why would you say I'm taller when you need a duck? But it doesn't matter because it's just so cool, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying is, so Spider-Man has made a big promise.
Yes.
Now our expectations are a little bit low because we're disappointed in what we've seen from Marvel the last few movies, and they just haven't kept their promises. This is promising, and it
I
better reset things. It
I
better.
think that, I will say this. I think that Spider-Man has been one of the few sets of the newer movies that's actually been pretty consistent and done
Yep.
pretty well.
Yep.
And it's because they've been staying away from like the multiverse stuff, and they kind of have self-contained adventures, right? Which I know that
Right.
Marvel has set this expectation of like everything has to fit in with everything else all the time. It's like, no, man. Sometimes you just want a good story, like.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
and even with the multiverse thing, one of the things that bugs me about the multiverse as a concept is it's a cool sci-fi concept, but the the problem with the multiverse is if there's an endless number of uncannies and toms, then why do we care about what happens
No,
to this
we
one?
don't. Right. And in the latest Doctor Strange movie proved that
Yes.
we don't have to care.
Doctor Strange 2, that's the one
Yeah.
that one was one of the
Yeah.
worst movies that I think I've seen in
Well,
like a decade.
and I appreciate the multi. I mean, I like the idea of. I'm really interested in what the Tom Kelly who went to seminary and became a psychologist is like versus the one I am who became an IT guy.
Oh yeah.
And I had my choice of doing either one, and I took the money and went for the computer. I wonder how the other guy turned out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
the
and I get
multiverse
that.
is interesting, but to say, okay, well, you know what? And by the way, since Star Trek first really put that on the map, which they did in a brilliant way with the episode Mirror Mirror, we've seen this 1,000 times.
Oh yeah.
We saw it the entire run of the Flash series. We've seen this. It's not a new concept. Quit acting like, oh, the multiverse. Oh,
Whoa.
I don't really care. I don't know
Well, I
how
mean,
they're
that's
gonna.
in some ways it's like because time travel is obviously interesting, and I'm with you by the way. Like when I was younger, I'm a huge history nerd. Like I love reading about history, and
Yeah.
one of the most famous kind of things is like there's a whole series, genre of history like fantasy books that are basically like, well,
What
what if
what if?
D-Day
Yeah.
failed, or what if
Right.
World War I was won by the
What
Germans?
if Kennedy was not assassinated? And
That's a very
it,
big one.
yeah. So Marvel did that comic book, and the world was worse off. And they
Really?
took, I mean, they took it on the chin. That was back when I was reading comic books in the 70s or whatever. They took it on the chin for that. You don't talk bad about JFK, not in
No.
1978, they. But I love the concepts.
Yeah, but
But I don't read only What If, and
no.
I don't do only the only superhero movies I watch. I don't want to see the multiverse for everything.
Yes, and it's and like the difference the reason why those counterfactuals are interesting is because we live in the world we live in, and it's interesting to see like a mirror version, right? Like Star Trek
Yeah,
did this in every season, right? Like or every reiteration, right? And it's interesting because it's so different. But if you do that like once, it's interesting, right? Like if you do that twice, maybe. You do it like okay, here's a good example. And this is a Marvel example. So I watched the Loki show with my mom,
yeah.
and I like the actor that plays Loki, and I like
Oh,
Loki
it's
as a
great,
character.
great.
Um,
Yep.
and but there is this part where it so the Loki show, have you seen it?
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know. Okay. So like he gets arrested by the basically the time bureaucracy, right? The
Right.
multiverse bureaucracy, which by
Right.
the way, I'm sorry, that's the most boring plotline ever. There's a giant bureaucracy of universes, right? But he's like, I have the Infinity Stone. And they just take it and throw it into a drawer with like a
Yep.
bunch of and it's
Yep.
like and it makes me wonder if the writers at Marvel even understand the implications of what they do because Marvel made all of its money on the Infinity Saga. It
Yep.
was around getting these stones that literally killed half the population of the universe. And
Right.
then they break all of that in one scene where they
In one
throw the
thing.
stone into a drawer with a bunch
Yep.
of extras.
Yep.
And it's just and that's the but I will say this back to Spider-Man, right? Is Spider-Man the latest one where they have the multiverse. It's different though, and I think that they made a really good choice with it because one, they have the nostalgia part. They brought back the other Spider-Mans and they incorporated them into the plot.
Yep.
And two, there was stakes, right? So like you could say, well, what does it matter what happens to Tom Holland because there's a bunch of Spider-Men, right? But in reality, we care about what happens to Tom Holland because we can understand the idea of self-sacrifice and the fact that you would lose everyone that you love all at once. And like that's why we care. We don't care what happens to Tom Holland because he's one of a billion Spider-Men. We care because he's a likable character and he has these friendships and his love, and then he has to sacrifice it, and that's something that we like to see.
Well, and the other thing that they did that worked really well was we didn't go to the multiverse. The multiverse came to us.
Yes, that too.
Okay. And so those two guys came from so we weren't walking around New York City, which has been renamed back to New Amsterdam, and what do you call that? The Iron Skillet Building or whatever it's called is
Yeah.
they have everything renamed, and you're supposed to go, ooh, wow, okay, so it's not Washington D.C. In this one, it's Franklin D.C. because he became the first president. So
Whoa.
yeah, I don't care. Okay, bringing some of those people here is what made that one work. We didn't go find out what was going on in the other universes. We've already been there. We already saw them. We
Yes.
didn't need to bring those people here. Let's see how they operate in our universe. That's a much more interesting story. I don't know. I'm worried about the Doctor Doom movie.
You mean where they're gonna be bringing back what's his name?
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
So yeah. So is he? Are the other people going to look at him and go, "Oh my gosh, it's Tony Stark," or are they going to go, "That's a completely different guy"?
I
If
don't
he
know.
is Tony Stark from another universe who turned evil and named himself Doctor Doom, that movie's going to blow. It's going to be
Yes.
bad. It's going to be really bad.
Well, and if it wasn't for some of the stuff that they've done between Infinity War when Tony Stark dies and now, I would say there's no way that they're going to cannibalize the importance of like Tony Stark sacrificing himself. But they've done it multiple times, and so I'm like, are they gonna do that? Are they gonna basically write off Iron Man and like the importance of Iron Man and their own intellectual property?
Yeah.
They might.
And what I'm afraid of here is, okay, so if he is Tony Stark from another universe and he comes in, he plays the evil Doctor Doom, and we go through the two parts of that movie, we're going to get to the end of the second movie, and you can write this down. Tom said it on March the 20th, 2026. We're going to get to the end of the second movie when his heart will overcome and he'll realize that what he's done is evil. And at the last second, he'll flip the switch the other way and save the universe instead of destroying it and die a gruesome death. And everybody will say, you see, from whatever universe he is, Tony Stark still has humanity. You know what I mean? I can just see
It's
it now.
basically like
And,
it's like a cheapened version of like the Darth Vader thing from the Return of the
yeah,
Jedi.
yeah,
And here's the thing, is like once again, it's the same thing, right? It's like the multiverse or the time travel stuff, like that's as old as like I mean, really it's even older, but in film it's at least as old as like Back to the Future, right? So like it's not new. It's the same thing as like listen, when Darth Vader managed to get inspired by the love of Luke enough to throw the Emperor down the giant mine shaft in space, right? Like that was like that was fresh and raw, and it's mostly because we cared about Luke and we couldn't see a world in which Darth Vader made the change, and then he did, right? And like it was
right.
built up, and we cared about these people. If there's just one of an infinity number of Tony Starks that like turned evil and then he found his heart of gold after whatever massacring thousands of people, it just isn't going to be that interesting.
It's not. It's not. So we'll see. I'm hoping I'm wrong. It seemed like there was one more movie, but I can't remember what our third one was that we were going to talk about for the future. Do you?
Oh, Dune.
Dune. Yeah.
Yep.
So we got a new installment of Dune coming. Now I wasn't clear on this one. Is the next one going to be like the last one, where we get a theater and a streaming release, or is it
I'm,
just
I'm
theater or
not
just
sure.
streaming?
I'm not sure actually. I mean, here's the thing. I know that there's going to be a theater release because Dune actually has made money, like a lot of money,
Oh
and
yeah.
I think that they would be there's I don't think there's anywhere in the multiverse they'd be foolish enough not to rake in that kind of cash, right?
Right.
Um, so, but you never know. They might do a stream option too. But I, I, I will say this: I am excited. I have a few biases. So I've read the first three Dune books, and so
Okay.
I like them. Um, and I also like
The
Timothy.
first three. How many are there?
There is there's too many Dune books.
Oh,
So
okay.
so Frank Herbert, the guy who wrote Dune back in the
60s.
60s, yeah, 60s,
Mm.
70s, he wrote like the first I think like 7-ish, and then
Oh,
his
wow. Okay.
his son took the intellectual property and then made like 15 or 20 more.
Great.
So, yeah, it was like it's kind of I don't know how much Tolkien but it's kind of like the equivalent of like if Christopher J.R.R. Tolkien's son, decided just to make a buttload of money instead of respecting his dad's legacy. It's kind of like that, I think. Um, and but so but the main series has about I think 7 or 8 books, and it's the I won't go into the whole lore of it because it's really convoluted and like I'm a history and political science nerd, so like I love it, and other
Hmm.
people are like you'll put them to sleep, but I do love the way they've done the Dune movies, and they've tried for decades to make the Dune movies work on the big screen or on television. They've
Hmm.
tried, and it's
They've
just
tried.
and every single time it's just like it just hasn't quite worked. It either hasn't picked up enough steam or it didn't have like it was like had weird adaptations like David Lynch did. One of his earlier movies was a Dune adaptation. and
Mhm.
and so, but I like it, and I'm also a big fan of Timothy Chalamet. Like, I just like him as an actor. I think he does a
Do
good
you?
job.
Okay.
Did you ever see the
Willy
Bob Dylan?
Wonka. Oh, the Bob Dylan. I haven't seen that yet, which is surprising because I'm a fan of Bob's. Yeah, yeah.
I did.
Um,
I watched it with my wife, and then for like and one of my friends, and for like a month afterwards, I kept doing my own Bob Dylan
yeah,
impersonation of my wife.
yeah. There's certain songs that I hear sometimes, and I think if Bob Dylan had done that song, it would be so. Yesterday, all my troubles seem
This
so
is
far away. You just you got to wonder if Bob Dylan did that, what would it have been like? And anyway, no, I want to see it though, and I hear he did a great job, and so I'm not ducking it. It's on my list of movies that I'll pay attention to when I have time to really pay attention to it.
it's a good movie. If you like Bob Dylan, then like he does a pretty good job of the songs, and like and it is funny, is it's kind of like, those band movies or like celebrity movies where they show like the like Walk the Line for Johnny Cash, right?
Yeah,
And
excellent. Yeah.
oh yeah, it's like that, except for, unlike Johnny Cash, who actually had a lot of demons, right? Like a lot of kind of skeletons in the closet in his life. Uh, Bob Dylan doesn't. So like the main antagonism of the story is actually really funny, and like they're trying to make things super dramatic in a way that like is not really that dramatic. But it's a good movie though, I will say.
Yeah, and what's funny is Johnny Cash with his demons, never really spent more than a night in jail. It's not like the guy was a prisoner for 6 months at Fulton or something. He he was a kind of a decent guy, and as
Oh
he
yeah.
got older, actually became a very decent guy, and he wasn't as interesting as he made himself out to be. He wanted to be seen as the bad guy because all the other roles were kind of taken at the time. You know, you had Elvis and the other guys who he hung out with that all kind of had their play.
He was kind
He
of the bad boy.
he could be the bad. He kind of looked like the bad boy, but he wasn't really all that bad. He
I
smoked
mean,
a little
he
weed
sang
and
gospel music, like, he's
yeah, yeah. He smoked some pot occasionally, and he got in trouble a couple of times for, disorderly conduct, that kind of stuff. But it's not like he used to rob banks and then he became Johnny Cash. Sorry, he's just not that exciting, But
he put on a
if
good
you
show
thought
while in prison,
yeah, oh yeah,
but he got to leave after, so
exactly.
yeah.
But the drink the water thing did happen, and he did embarrass the warden, and there was a big fight as to whether or not to put that on the album, and all that kind of. So there was some truth to some of the stuff that happened, but at the same time, I remember when I was a little kid. Okay, so now I'm talking, late '60s, early '70s. I thought Johnny Cash was like a bad guy, and he always wore black, and he was, ooh, Johnny Cash, and then I wised up. He's just a guy. Yeah.
Well, and part of that too is, I think, like his music, right? Is like, I grew up on Johnny Cash. My dad was into like well, a lot of different stuff, but like I listened to like the Stray Cats and like Johnny Cash, and a lot of like doo-wop, and also like yeah, anyway. Um and so like, like A Boy Named Sue, and like
Hmm.
like the "It's Sunday and I just want to get stoned," right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he has a little bit of that, but I mean, honestly, compared to today's um, artists, he was a very mild fellow. Let's just put it that.
Very, very mild. Hey, okay, so we're running a little bit past the hour, but we started a little bit late because I didn't know which button to push, but I think we got all that straight. Guys, if you're watching us, please give the thumbs up. It makes a big difference for Tremaine and the things he's doing. So give us the thumbs up. I know we're not as exciting as when Tremaine is here, but I still think the show went all right.
Yeah.
And we love talking about movies, and you're at home on a Friday night watching us because you love talking about movies too. Hopefully, we were entertaining for you, and you're looking forward now to seeing what else is coming this year. It's going to be a an interesting year for sure, and hopefully better than 2025, which I don't think is going to go down in history as a year of great filmmaking.
No.
Sorry, I just don't think it is. 2026, I got to say, so far, not impressed.
There is a
But
little bit of hope.
we
We'll
got
see how
nine
some of these
months.
movies
Yeah, we
turn out.
got 9 months. You can make a baby in this time, so maybe we'll have have a baby between now and the end of the year. But um, I don't see anything on the horizon that I'm like, oh, that is going to be the game changer.
It's true. I
You
will
know,
say though, to give a little credence to the channel, Tremaine is going to be putting out a movie sometime a little
that
bit later this year.
that could be the game changer. That
It
could be
could
the
be the
game
game
changer.
changer.
We'll see. And so yeah, keep that weekend in July open for the film festival. Go to Golden Bear Film Festival to get more interest, more information about all of that. So all right, subscribe. Check out Kelly Casts. You got any channels or anything we need to plug from your end?
No, just go check out Tom's channel and
Hey,
go and subscribe. Oh
buy
yeah,
the book. Buy the book. I don't get a lot out of each one, but hey, when you're retired, every little dollar helps. And
Oscar and the Hurricane.
Oscar and the Hurricane, especially if you have a kid who just loves to read. I field tested it on my grandkids. And they're my harshest critics, and they got something out of it, and thought it was a helpful thing. So hopefully others will find that as well. So hopefully it will get a little steam here. It's only been out 1 day, and I refuse to look yet to see whether or not I've got my first sale. I'm going to pretend like it's already selling. But I won't really look for another week or 10 days, I hope.
All right. Well, I look forward to hearing an update on how it's
All
doing in
right.
the next couple weeks. All right.
All right,
Before we cut,
Uncanny. Hey, man, thank you. Appreciate it. You're awesome. And this has been a great time. Sorry for the little technical stuff right at the beginning, guys, but appreciate all of you watching and tuning in. And hopefully, when Tremaine gets back, he can edit this and actually make it a good show.
in post. Yep.
In post, yeah. All right, can
Thanks.
you play? You get the music to play us out?
Uh, that's a good question. The answer is not yet, but I can in 1 second.
Okay. We'll hold for just a second.
So, everybody, please like and smash that like button. Hit the subscribe
So,
button. We live and die by the algorithm. So
yeah.
anything helps. Let's see. Let's find a good one. All right, I think that this one should be about set up. Do 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 do. All right, give me 1 second. All right, I am ready. Let's
All
do the
right.
outro. Thanks everybody for coming to the show tonight, and hope you have a good night. Tune in on Monday for the next stream. All right.
It's moving.